everybody, welcome to Top 12 Mini Spray Guns, and we're going to rate these from 12th down to obviously first. I've made this a top 12 rather than the top 10, which was my original aim, because the one that's in 11th, or the ones that's in 11th and 12th, really deserve to be in there. So I've made it top 12 basically. Now let me first say that there's no bad spray guns in this video. All of them are very, very capable. They're completely different price points, some of them, so there's a good variation. I've rated them on value for money, I've rated them on performance, reliability and build quality, which is, you know, a similar thing really, and versatility stroke air consumption. Now I've put the air consumption in there because, particularly if people are at home, which a lot of people who are going to buy mini guns are normally home users as well as professionals, the air consumption is quite important. It's only about 3.5 minutes on each gun, and obviously we run through it, and I'll run through the various whys and wherefores of the various guns as we go through there. So I hope you enjoy the video. If you do like it, then give us a like or a subscription, or both, or whatever, because it all helps keep us up the YouTube rankings. All right then guys, let's go on to number 12. So in 12th place we have the ANI GF3, and this little spray gun is one of the reasons why this is a top 12 and not a top 10 mini spray gun video. This needed to be in it really. It costs £30 in the UK, which is about, in US dollars, about 40 US dollars. So it's not expensive at all, and I always recommend this to people if we are talking about spray guns and people saying that they can't really afford much. I always say, well, try one of these, because it's much better than spray cans. So if you can afford £30 and you've got a compressor, this is the kiddie to go for. It's much, you know, just opens up a much better world. It's the same body as the ANI R160. When I say it's the same body, it's the same mould. You know, it's moulded in exactly the same way. The finish is much better on the R160, which does feature in this video. It's just a bit later on, that's all, as you would probably expect. So as I say, this needed to be in the video. I prefer to think of it as 12th place rather than last place, because last is a bit harsh on such a small gun. So value for money, I've given it 10 out of 10, which you know you can't really argue with. At the price it is, it's excellent value for money. It sprays really well. Performance, I've given it 6 out of 10, because as I say, it sprays really well. With my one, well, I've got a few of them, a couple of them actually. I actually converted one to a primer gun, but with mine the pattern's slightly skewed. I don't mean top heavy or bottom heavy, I just mean it has a little bit of a curve. Well, you can't really notice it much there on the spray out, but it has a little bit of a curve in it, something you wouldn't expect on a, you know, a better quality spray gun. Doesn't seem to affect the performance of it. You can get really good finishes with this, and if I do a comparison video between an expensive gun, this is always the cheap gun I go for, because as I say, you can get some really good finishes with it. Just as happy with base coat as it is with clear coat. So yeah, a really good gun for someone to buy if they don't want to spend a lot of money really. Build quality, I've put 5 out of 10, and the reason for that is that, as you would expect at that sort of price point, it's not the best build quality. Mine's been really reliable, so as far as reliability goes, it's been absolutely fine. But when you look at it, it's made quite cheap. But as I say, it is quite cheap. It's not something that's made cheap and is expensive. It is made quite cheap, and it sells quite cheap, so you would expect that. Versatility and air consumption, I've given it 8 out of 10. I've probably been a little bit harsh on it. It probably could have got 9 out of 10 for that, because it is quite versatile. It puts out a reasonable amount of fluid and material, so you can cover quite big areas. Just as capable of doing a complete panel as it is you know, a bike tank or something like that, and it's just as capable of doing smaller areas. I've got some old footage with some doing some fork legs, etc., which I'll try and remember to put some links to full tests of these guns in the description. So on to number 11. So in 11th place is the Airgunza, or Iwata Airgunza AZ4. Now this is obviously the second reason why this video needed to be a top 12 rather than a top 10, because this gun deserves to be in this list as well. It's a lot more expensive than the GF3, but it's actually a very, very good spray gun. I always find with this that there's two caps you can get, and I'll show you the two caps towards the end of the rebuild video, and they're quite different the way they spray. The AZ4-1 and AZ4-2. The one is the cap that works at 1 bar, and the other one works at 2.5 bar. And they normally, you get on the bigger tips, the 1.3 and upwards that you can get this gun with, you get the AZ4-2, and with the smaller tips, the 1s, the 1.2s, you get the AZ4-1. And they are quite different in that the AZ4-2 actually brings out a lot more material. It's obviously got a bigger tip when it's used like that, and it becomes a really good spray gun for things like clear coat and that. Obviously if you go to the bigger 1.8 tips and that, you're looking at using it for priming and stuff like that. But very versatile, loads of different tips with it. So value for money, I've given it 9. In the UK this sells for about 140 GB pounds, depending where you get it from, which is about 175 US dollars at current exchange rates. So it's not cheap, but as in the scale of some of these mini guns, then it's pretty good value for money. So I've given it 9 out of 10 for value for money. Performance, I've given it 9 out of 10 because it works really well. As I say, with either cap it works really well. It just makes it a slower gun. With the AZ4-1 and the smaller tips, it just makes it a much slower gun, but it's quite a refined slow gun. So yeah, a really good spray gun. As I say, it had to be in this top gun video really. I don't think it's worthy of any higher up, although I really like it, because as I say, the competition here is really hot. There's no bad spray guns in this video. Build reliability, I've given it 7, and that's its Achilles heel really. Reliability has been absolutely fine. It just feels a bit cheap the way it's made for a, you know, £140 spray gun. It just feels a bit cheap. As I say, it's been reliable, but it just feels not so well made. Versatility and air consumption, I've put 8. The AZ4-2 cap does use a lot more air, but it gives you a lot more performance as well, a lot more speed. So it means that while you're using it, it's probably not on as long to do the same amount. Equally capable of doing a full panel as a smaller panel or spot repairs, but much more suited really to spot repairs in the smaller cap. Now on to number 10. So in 10th place we have the Sagola Mini Xtreme. Now I've given this 8 out of 10 for value for money, and it depends greatly where you are or where you're buying it from as to how much that value for money score will be, because some places it's very expensive, and some places, I actually got these in Spain, which is where they're made, and they were quite cheap. Having said that, the price has gone up recently since they were bought out by Ecometer, which is a British company. They've been bought out and they seem to have put the prices up. So the value for money of most of the Cigola guns doesn't seem as good as it was. But anyway, I've given it 8 out of 10 just to cover most bases really. So as I say, it depends where you live as to what value for money it is. I've given it, for performance, I've given it 8. I've got both the clear version and the aqua version, and I can't see any difference between the two. The aqua cap, apart from being blue, looks exactly the same. The size of the air holes, everything looks exactly the same as the clear cap, which is not a problem because a lot of manufacturers do that. They'll make the same gun and they'll put base on it or clear on it or whatever. So that's not a negative really. As far as the performance goes, they're actually quite good. They take a little bit of getting used to. you think, or you would think that they're going to be faster than they are. And one of the reasons for that is the air consumption, which we'll come back to in a minute. Well, I say back to, we'll start on in a minute. But yeah, performance, as I say, I've given it 8 out of 10. It lays base really nice, and it lays clear coat really nice. I haven't had any problems with any of the painting with these things. It's just a bit of a surprise, the air consumption. So build quality, reliability, 10 out of 10. You won't find a better build quality. You'd probably find that the Milhi or Mihi, I'm not sure how you say it, the Japanese make, which there is one in this video later on, is probably more precisely made. But as far as build quality goes, this has got to have 10 out of 10. It's built like a tank. It will last you years and years and years. So there's no qualms with me giving it 10 out of 10, I don't think, for that. And we come to the last one, versatility stroke air consumption. Now the air consumption is horrendous. They use the same amount of air as a lot of full-size guns, which for the chap at home is no good at all. And that's one of the things I think that make you think that this gun, when you first use it, you think it's going to be faster than it is. You have to go, as you can see here, spraying clear coat, you have to go a lot slower. Although it's only a 1.0 tip, they do it in a 1.2 as well. You have to go a lot slower than you think you would. So you're using a lot of air to go quite slow, and it just doesn't seem to compute really. But the finish you can get is really, really good once you get used to knowing that you can't go, you know, that fast with it. So a very worthy 10th place. On to number 9. So in 9th place we have the Sata 440B. Now there'll be some people watching this video thinking he must be mad putting a Sata so low down the field. Well, I don't think I'm mad, but for me this gun's never been a firm favourite, and I'll appreciate as some people will want to put it at the top of the pile, but you know, obviously this is my top 12, so this is where I'm putting it. So value for money, I've given it 8 out of 10. Not bad value for money. They're quite expensive. They sell now in the UK for around about £300, so they're not as dear as some of the guns in this video, but they're getting up there. So I think giving it 8 out of 10 is pretty good value for money. One of the guys that watches the videos was talking to me on Instagram, I think it was, and he was saying that in Germany, which is where Sata's made, the Satas are actually cheaper than a lot of the others. So as I say, with the value for money, it will depend where you're actually buying it from as to what that value for money score will be. But I've given it 8 anyway. So performance, I've given 8 out of 10. It's a very good gun. I've got HVLP set up, and I've also got the RP set up. Normally HVLP for base coat, RP for clear coat, and they all work very well. Never really been outstanding for me. As I say, the finish is very good. Never really outstanding. They have quite a big fan, so they're capable of doing full panels relatively easy, and you can obviously dial them down if you want to do spot repairs and things like that. And as I say, a lot of people will swear by these, but I'm just not one of them really. Build quality, reliability, I've given it 9 out of 10 because the build quality is very good. Reliability is very good. It does have a small sealing washer at the back of the fluid tip, but quite a few guns do in various guises. Some of the things like the AZ4 Iwata and some of the other Iwatas and that don't need that tip. So for me it's a slightly negative point in that they've had to do that, but you know, it is what it is. It's a sealing ring and it's easily replaced and not that expensive. So I've given it 9 out of 10 for reliability. Versatility, air consumption, it's not an air hog, but it's not, you wouldn't put it down as a low air consumption gun. Very versatile. You can get loads of different tip sizes and different combinations, so it's quite versatile in that. I've given it 8 out of 10. because I think that's basically where it should be, really. But you know, I don't like the ergonomics of it a lot, because my thumb keeps turning the wheel. But anybody that's watched my videos will know that, and it can be a pain because it just changes the fan. Anyway, as I say, I'll put it in 9th. A lot of people would disagree with that, but that's where it is. Okay, on to number 8. So in 8th place, we have the ANI R160Q. Now the Q just means effectively it's silver. They do an ANI R160, and that's just a black finish. I think it's called a T actually, but it's just a black finish. So it just says ANI R160. But they're the same guns, just a slightly different finish. So for value for money, I've given this 10 out of 10 because, as I've said before, and I'll say again, and I'll probably end up saying it again sometime in this video, there is no bad spray guns in this video. This is an excellent little spray gun. If you've got £100 to spend on a spray gun and that's your budget, which is about $130 US, $135 US, and that's your budget, this is the gun to buy, because I think it's the best £100 spray gun you can buy. So I've given it 10 out of 10 for value for money, because I think it deserves 10 out of 10. It's a really, really good spray gun. Performance, I've given it 8 out of 10. The reason I haven't given it higher is because it's I regard it as quite crude, in that it loves air pressure. To get a good clear finish, you need to use anywhere between 3 and 4 bar, ideally about 3.5 bar, which is, what's that in PSI? I don't even know what that is in PSI. It's about 40 odd PSI, I think. But 3.5 bar is about right for a good finish with clear coat, and normally about 2.5 to 3 bar for base coat. So it likes its air. It's not that refined in that, you know, some of the guns in this video will work on 1 bar. It's just not like that. But you know, it works really well at the higher pressures, so that's what I would recommend, and you get a really good finish. Perfectly capable of doing a full panel as well as small smart repairs. So yeah, a very, very good performing gun. Build quality, reliability, I've given it 7 out of 10. I've actually had a couple of problems with mine. I'm talking to the factory at the moment and they're seeing if they can do something, but I have had a few problems with it. I won't go into it at the moment, I'll go into that into a later video. But yeah, I've given it 7 out of 10 because I think that probably represents where it is. They're reasonably well built. They're not the best there is, but you wouldn't expect that at £100 really. So yeah, 7 out of 10. Versatility, air consumption, I've given it 9. Very, very versatile gun. They don't use a lot of air, not a particularly lot of air anyway. So ideal for the person at home on a reasonably limited budget, because you'll get a really good spray gun for very, very little money. Just as capable of handling base coats, be it silvers, metallics or whatever, because it lays it down really, really nice. Good for clear coat as well, as long as you keep that pressure up. So a very, very good all-round gun, and definitely the best gun in this pack at £100 without a doubt. So on now to number 7. So in 7th place we have the Iwata Kaiwami 1. Now the Kaiwami 1 is basically a W101. It's the newer version of it. Kaiwami means expert in Japanese apparently. Very, very good tools. One of my favourites. It's a side cup, so a lot of people won't like a side cup. But, you know, people like me that are used to a side cup and don't really find it any different to a top cup, to be honest, we'll get on well with these. So value for money, I've given it 9 out of 10. What you see on all these videos at the start, what you see when I'm assembling them is basically what you get with them in the box as standard. So you don't get much with these. You normally have to buy a cup separately, although there will be a part number where it can come with a cup. So you know, it can add to the cost. So the value for money, I've given it 9 out of 10 anyway, because they're very well made. and very good guns. There's quite a lot of different models, so you know, this is sort of generically really about the gun, but I really like them. I get on with them really well. So 9 out of 10 for value for money. Performance 8 out of 10. Should maybe be a 9, but you know, 8/9 is fine. They're very versatile. You can do a lot of different things with them, but as I say, there are a lot of different end caps, a lot of different sizes, so this is just basically generally speaking about that gun really. So performance, as I say, 8 out of 10. Could probably do a little bit more. They're very good for various things. You get a 1.6 for clear coat, a 1.3 for base coat in a set, if that makes sense. But you know, they do a 1.3, I think it's the B8 cap, which is a really good all-round gun. So yeah, very good for clear coat, just as good for base coat. I've sprayed water based with these, and I've sprayed solvent based coat, and they seem to be fine with all of them. Perfectly capable of a full panel. The one you see now is actually the 1.6 clear gun, which, as I say, it really pumps it out. Lovely tool to use. Reliability, I've given it 9 out of 10. You know, they're a water build quality, so they're pretty good build quality. I know some people have a problem with the chrome sometimes, especially if they're using it on water-based stuff a lot. I haven't had any problems with it, but maybe I just don't use mine enough to get that problem. But you know, as far as I'm concerned, they're very well made and are very reliable. Versatility and air consumption, I've given that 8 out of 10 because some of them are very good. You get the like the L versions, which use quite a lot of air, but they run on really low pressure. And you get the normal versions like the one you see now, which is somewhere in the mid range really, stroke higher range of minigun air consumption, but the performance is equal as well, so really good and versatile. There's loads of different caps for them and loads of different combinations you can get, so a really good all-round gun. I think deserving of being in its place amongst this lot, because one of my favourites really. Okay, now on to number 6. So in 6th place we have the Milgi Milhi, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Finer Force. Now, there's 3 of these in the range, 2 of them in 1.4 and 1 of them in 1.6. The 1.6 is more regarded as a clear coat gun, but a really good gun. I've given it value for money, I've given it 8 out of 10. These again can come with a cup or not with a cup. I actually got this from Painting Tools Japan, which are on eBay, or they're on Instagram as well. I actually contact them through Instagram, and normally you get things a little bit cheaper, I presume, because they don't have to pay the eBay fees, but that's what I do anyway. So I've given it 8 out of 10 for value for money. As I say, you can get them with a cup or without a cup. When they come with a cup, they do start to get more expensive, so I don't think they're worth more than 8 out of 10 value for money wise. But, you know, that's basically where I think they sit. Performance-wise, 8 out of 10. Now, that's quite a general figure, and I've only recently got these and been doing a fair bit with them to try them out on different things. And I'm really happy. It probably could be a 9, but at the moment I'm leaving it at an 8 because, as I say, there's different tools for different jobs. But they're very good, especially the clear coat gun. I like the 1.6 clear coat gun, although it is quite fast. It puts out quite a lot of material, so you do have to be careful not to overdo it. Otherwise, you will get runs, and you know there's just too much material going on. Build and reliability, I've put 10 out of 10. You will not find a better made spray gun, full stop. It's as simple as that. They are absolutely superbly engineered. They really are nice. The only one that would come close to it, and it's a different type of build quality, is the Sagola. The Sagola build quality is also excellent, but the Sagola is built like a tank, whereas this is built like a Swiss watch, if that makes sense. Really well made. Everything's so fine. The threads are so fine. Everything is just such a joy to use. I've got a few of the Milgi or Milhi equipment, and it's all been really good. It's just so well made. So yeah, reliability and build quality 10. Definitely the best here, bar none, without doubt. Versatility, I'll put 8 out of 10. Very versatile, as I say. There's 3 in the range of this. It lays clear coat really, really well. I prefer the 1.6 for clear coat, although I have used the 1.4s. And they work just as well as well. They're just a little bit slower, but they're excellent. The 1.4s, both of them, I've used them for metallic base coat and solid base coat, solid colours. Not solid as in 2K, solid as in, you know, non-metallic colours. And they seem to work really well with all of it. So yeah, highly recommended. And if you want a quality piece of equipment in your hand, look no further than this one. As I've said before, and I probably will say it again, there are no bad spray guns in this ranking. So even though this is 6, it's an excellent gun to own and an absolute joy to use. So yeah, highly, highly recommended. Okay, on now to number 5. So in 5th place, we have the Walcom Ego 190. You saw at the start of the video there that they actually come with 2 pots, a small pot and a larger pot, as well as what you see here for the digital version anyway. What you see in the background there, it all comes with it. So a lot of people will wonder why this is where it is, but this is where I think it needs to be, certainly for me anyway, because I'm very impressed with the gun, but it's not up there with the rest. As far as I'm concerned, and that will be quite controversial, but it's just the way I feel about it, and I've used it quite a lot. So 5th place is where I've put it. Value for money, I've given it 8 out of 10. Now, these things are really expensive. They sell for about 370 GB pounds all in, you know, 375, something like that, which is about $500 US, the equivalent to. So a lot of money for this gun, but I feel it represents reasonably good value for money at 8 out of 10, because as I say, you get the different cups, whether you use the cups or not. You know, a lot of people use PPS, but you know, you get the 2 different cups, you get the digital gauge, and if you don't want the gauge, then my advice would be to sell the gauge afterwards on eBay, because they actually go for quite good money, and then it brings the cost of the tool down. So 8 out of 10 anyway is where I think it needs to be, although as I say, they are very expensive. Performance, 9 out of 10, a good performance score, because it's a very, very good performing gun. Good with clear coat. Good. I've only got the HTE version. They do make a HBLP version, but good for clear coat. I've found this just as good for base coat. Mine's a 1.2. They do make them in other tip sizes, but 1.2 is a really good general all-round tip. Great, as I say, for clear and for base coat. Handles metallics well. Pearl, I've done pearl coats with it. Handles that really well. You can adjust it down. The amount of adjustment is really good, so you can get that fan down quite small and keep a really good even atomization, if that makes sense. So plenty of adjustment on these. So a really good all-round gun, and you know, the competition is really hot at this end of the, you know, like at the top end of this video, the competition is really, really hot. So don't think that I'm saying it's not a very good gun because it's in 5th place. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, the other guns are further up the ranking than this one. So yeah, I've given it 9 out of 10. But with all these guns, they're all up in the 9s anyway, which is why they're at the top of the list, I guess. Build reliability, I've given it 8 out of 10 because I feel that it's well made. They seem to scratch quite easily, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's nice and light if that's what you're after. Versatility, as I say, I've given it 9. It is very versatile. There's plenty of adjustment on it. A very good all-round gun and quite novel as well. Yeah, a good gun capable of really good finishes. So on now to number 4. So in 4th place is the Iwata LPH80. Now there'd be quite a few people thinking this should be higher up the rankings, but in my opinion this is where it needs to sit really. I'll explain why as we go along. It's available with an E2 cap, which has 2 air holes, and an E4 cap, which is what this one is, which has 4 air holes. Basically, the E4 gives you a bigger pattern, although it uses slightly more air. That's one of the good things about this, is the air consumption of it if you're at home with a small compressor. So value for money, I've given it 8 out of 10. Very good value for money. Can come with 2 cups, or can come with 1 cup that you see in the background there, 2 different sizes. Sells for about 230, 240 GB pounds, and with the 2 cups, sometimes about 260 GB pounds, which is about 340, 360 US dollars. Performance, I've given it 10 out of 10. It's the first one in this compilation that's got 10 out of 10 for performance, because you can't really fault it for performance. Really fine atomization, absolutely ideal for small things like this, like a cycle frame and things like that, because it atomizes so fine. You're not wasting loads of material because the fan is quite small. Even on this, which is a 1.2, the fan is quite small. So I think it's thoroughly deserving of 10 out of 10 for performance. Equally at home with base coat as it is with clear coat, although obviously you're better off with a bigger tip normally for the clear coat. But yeah, a really good, definitely deserving of 10 out of 10. Build reliability, I've given it 8 out of 10 because there are a few, I've had a few problems with mine. Some people do get problems with the chrome if they're using it on water-based stuff. I've said before about the Iwata stuff. But I think it's worthy of 8 out of 10 for build quality and reliability. If I hadn't had problems with mine, I would have probably given it 9 out of 10 for build quality. But as I say, I've had problems with mine and I don't use them a lot because I've got so many different guns. So I've given it 8 out of 10. Good build quality, very well built. As I say, I've had problems with mine and you shouldn't really get problems with them the amount of time I'm using it. Versatility and air consumption, I've given it 8 out of 10. Now, air consumption, it would get 10 out of 10 because it uses very little air. So if you're at home and you've only got a small compressor, this is an ideal gun for you because it just doesn't use about 2.8, I think, CFM is what the E4 cap uses, and even less for the E2 cap. So really good as far as air consumption. Just not that versatile in my opinion. If you're doing full panels with it, it takes quite a while, and if you're using it for clear coat on full panels, it's actually quite painful because it's very slow. It will do it, and people have said to me you can do a full panel with them, which you can, but it's just very slow. So it's not particularly a pleasant experience. If it's the only gun you got, then it will work absolutely fine, as I say, and it doesn't use a lot of air. So I think 4th place is where it deserves to be. Okay, so on now to number 3. So in 3rd place is the Devilbiss SRI Pro Lite, or Pro LiteS as it's now called. Exactly the same gun, one's blue, one's gold. Otherwise, you know, they're exactly the same. They've just changed the name slightly. I think they're harmonising the guns so that they're the same around the world, really, because they used to give different names to different guns. But yeah, it's the same gun essentially. So value for money, I've given it 9 out of 10. I think it's really good value for money. They sell for about 230, 240 GB pounds. Really good universal gun. That's why it's earned its place where it is. And as I say, these top 3 all got the same 35 out of 40 for me, and it was difficult for me to rank them where I thought they should be, because all 3 of these are equally capable of being at number 1 as they are on number 3. But I had to make a choice, and this is the choice I've gone with. So value for money, as I say, I've given it 9 out of 10. Really good gun to use, not particularly expensive in the realm of things in this test, because some of the guns are, you know, quite a few of the guns are much more expensive than this one. So performance, I've given it 8 out of 10. You might be surprised that it's got 8 out of 10 yet it's in 3rd place, and the reason I've given it 8 out of 10 is because it's not the best performing gun here, although it performs very well. And as I've said before, there's no bad spray guns in this video anyway. It performs really well, and it's one of my favourites. I would still recommend it as the number 1 gun for somebody on a more limited budget. You know, not a limited budget, but a more limited budget, because it's a brilliant all-round gun. So for performance, I've only given it 8, although it performs very well. Build reliability, I've given it 9, and that's because I've used this more, or these more than any other gun that I've got. and I've never had any problems with them at all. You have to change when you saw at the start. There's a little grey washer that sits behind the fluid nozzle. You have to change those every now and again, and they're something like £15 for a pack of 5, so that'll last you years and years. Very easy to change, and that's the only thing I've ever had go wrong with them. So reliability wise, they're absolutely excellent. Build quality is good as well. It's not a modern fashion thing. When you look at other guns in the Devilbiss range, especially the newer ones, they're built more stylish. So this isn't a stylish thing. It feels a bit older and agricultural, but really well built anyway. So, you know, not a problem. Versatility in air consumption. Air consumption is very good. It doesn't use loads of air. Versatility is where it scores. So I've given it 9 because it is really versatile, and in my opinion, much more versatile than the LPH80, which is why it's ahead of the LPH80. A really good versatile gun. It'll do base coat, it will do clear coat, it will do metallics, everything very, very well. And that's what's given it its position where it is here, the all-round ability of it. And as I say, it's a really good gun. On now to number 2. So in second place is the Iwata W300WB. Now, WB needs to be borne in mind here because it's the idea of WB is that it's for water-based paint, but it sprays clear exceptionally well. Really, really nice. And the normal W300s aren't really the same tool at all. This has, does that make sense? Same tool at all? This has the split nozzle technology. So I call it a tulip nozzle, but it's a split nozzle technology like they use in the LS and WS 400s, and it does make a difference compared to the standard W300. So this is for the W300WB. I've given it 8 out of 10 for value for money because they are actually quite expensive. Not as dear as some in this video, but they are quite expensive. So I don't think it warrants more than 8 out of 10 for value for money. Performance, I've given it 10 out of 10. One of the few guns in this video that has 10 out of 10 because the performance is exemplary. I really like this gun. If I didn't think that a lot of people will view this video and make decisions on it, I would put this at number 1 because for me this is my favourite gun. It gives an absolute superb finish, particularly for clear coat, base coat as well, but particularly for clear coat. It sprays, the atomization is so fine. And it uses 1.5 bar, so you don't need a lot of pressure, creates minimal overspray, an absolute joy to use, and a top-notch performing gun. So in my opinion, this, I say in my opinion, this will be number 1. This is my favourite gun, but I think what's coming up at number 1 would probably suit more people more, really, which is why I've put that at number 1 and not this one. So, yeah, a really good gun, 10 out of 10 for performance. Build quality and reliability, I've given it 9 out of 10. I haven't had any problems with mine at all. I've been using it quite a bit. I've got a couple of different nozzle sizes now, and it's an absolute joy to use. I don't expect any problems with it either. As I keep saying, some of the Iwata stuff you get a problem with the chrome. I know people think that is a bit of a negative, but you know, I haven't found that at all. But I don't use much water-based stuff, I suppose. Maybe that's why. But yeah, it's a great well-built tool. Just being replaced actually by the Kaiwami 4, or being replaced by the Kaiwami 4. But at the moment, that's what you get in the UK. You get the W300WB. Versatility and air consumption, I've given it 8 out of 10. It's a bit slow compared to some of the other guns. It's a bit slow when you're trying to do full panels with it. So it's not particularly versatile, although, you know, it's more capable than the LPH80 as far as I'm concerned anyway. And the air consumption is a little bit high because it runs at a lower pressure, so the air consumption is normally higher because it puts more air through to make up for that lower pressure. But a really good gun and thoroughly deserving of second place. Now to the winner. And so we have a winner. Cue the applause. DV1S, Devilbiss DV1S. This was quite difficult for me. As I said, all three of the top three had the same score. So it was a matter of me ranking them where I thought they would be. And this, as silly as this sounds, this is not my favourite gun, although it's right up there with them. I prefer the W300, but I think this is more worthy of being in first place, if that makes sense. It's much more user-friendly, I think, than the W300. It's very, very easy to use. Really nice looking gun. I love the black and purple. Looks really, really nice. Extremely expensive, which is my biggest problem with it. So I've given it 8 out of 10 for value for money. You do get 2 fluid tips. You get normally a 1.2 and a 1.0, and I think they do a 0.8 and a 1.0 as a set. So there is more value for money than you would initially think, although I think the Ego 190 looks like more value for money, although I think this performs better in most respects, to be fair. And there'll be people that will argue with that. There'll be a lot of people that won't agree with what I say here, but you know, it's my video, I guess, and that's how I'm rating them, really. So I've given it 10 out of 10 for performance. It actually atomizes super fine. It's probably the best atomizing gun here if you want a really fine atomization, and it's ideal for smart repairs and things like that, which is what it's marketed as, because the atomization is so fine. If you're trying to blend in, it just gives you that real fine fade out to, you know, to blend the colors in if you're doing spot repairs. So really good for that. 10 out of 10 for what it's designed to do and for its performance. Lace clear coat, really nice as well. I don't think it's as versatile as the SRI Pro Lite, but we'll get to that in a minute when we get to the air and versatility. 9 out of 10 for build quality. It's built really well. Haven't had any problems with it yet, but you wouldn't expect it because they're only quite new guns. But really looks nice. Step up slightly from the SRI. Much more, you know, fashion conscious look, whereas the SRI, as I said before, looks a little bit agricultural. This is much more sleek and better looking, really. Versatility, air consumption, it uses more than some of the other guns, uses more than the SRI Pro Lite, so if you're struggling for air, maybe not brilliant. Versatility, it's a bit slow for me, to be fair. I find it quite slow on the bigger stuff. But if you're using it for smart repairs, which a lot of people will be, then it's ideal. But you know, you're capable of doing full panels. It just takes its time. But yeah, I think it's a worthy winner really because of the performance. So I'm sure people won't agree, but I hope you enjoyed the video anyway. Cheers guys, thanks very much. Bye bye.